Naruto's perfect devil fruit is pretty obvious. It's gonna be the nine-tailed fox fruit. The same goes for Chainsaw Man's Makima, who matches perfectly with the Soul fruit, but what fruit would be perfect for, say, Goku, or Midoriya, or Tanjiro? Well, today I'm gonna give these 12 anime characters their perfect devil fruit, starting with the shonen legend itself, Son Goku. In my opinion, there are only a handful of fruits that could actually add to Goku's already unbelievable powers. With energy beams, teleportation, and universe-breaking speed and strength, he doesn't really need that much. And while something like the Sun God fruit might match his goofy attitude and love for battle, I think there's actually another character on this list who would benefit from it way more down the line. So instead, I want to buff his already god-tier powers with a fruit that truly symbolizes his status, respect, and of course, a mythological level of power. And that's why I've chosen Kaido's Azure Dragon Fruit, giving Goku the ability to literally use a Dragon Fist, but also he can now rock the Dragon Kick, the Dragon Throw, and Massive Blast Breath Kamehameha. Now, this fruit would increase his insane durability, giving him access to a hybrid form that unleashes truly terrifying levels of power. Because why be a Z fighter when you can become the Dragon Warrior? And no, I'm not gonna turn him green to match Shenron here. I mean, while that would be fun, admittedly, I do think that the blue dragon version is actually a better choice here. I mean, not only is it a guardian deity of Eastern Japan, but it is also in the original Dragon Ball logo, and it's a fun reference to Toriyama's other series, the conveniently named Blue Dragon. Now, overall, Kaido's toolkit is pretty similar to Goku's, and when it comes to willpower matching the fruit, I'm pretty certain that Goku and this fruit would get along just fine. And well, I guess keeping in that theme also, I think that would mean that Gohan would get Yamato's mythical dog fruit as well. I mean, it's not super important, but you might as well keep these two fruits in the family, you know? And it also is a guardian deity on top of that, much like the famous warrior of pride, the great Saiyaman himself. But come to think of it, there is actually a far more popular superhero than him, because after all, you only got one superhero movie, but this kid has 4. I'm of course talking about Deku, the world's greatest hero. I of course just had to find the perfect fruit for young Midoriya here, which let me tell you was actually surprisingly hard. Because we're gonna have to pick a power that not only makes his Detroit Smasher stronger, but also combos well with his other insane quirks like Gear Shift, Black Whip, and Fajin. But in the end, once I laid it all out, there was actually a clear winner here, the incredibly broken Quake fruit used by Whitebeard and Blackbeard in the series. It is a devil fruit that matches the massive power output of One For All and would allow him to manipulate the battlefield to utilize all of his other crazy powers to their peak. In One Piece, Whitebeard manipulates the ocean all over the place during the Marineford War, and we see Blackbeard use this very same power locally during his battle with Law, so we do know that it's not just used for pure massive destruction either. And on the flip side, we do see just how important having rubble, unique environments, and control over that environment is actually for Midoriya's fighting style. I mean, bouncing around the alley against Stain, hiding and using shoot style on the spikes against Overhaul, and of course, having to make sure that Shigaraki never hits the floor during any of their battles. So I think you can kind of imagine just how much stronger he gets when his Devil Fruit now allows him to break and sculpt the environment for him, not to mention, it will just straight up let him crush and shatter his enemies once he actually makes any contact with them. And so once the stage is set, he's just able to combine all of his skills like Smokescreen and Black Whip to just move around way faster than usual, bouncing all over the battlefield. He can throw off his opponents while unleashing devastating Delaware smashes as well. And can you just imagine him using the Black Whip to grab his opponent, pulling them into a Quake-infused, Fajin-boosted 100% Detroit smash? I don't think All For One, Kaido, or really anyone on this list is gonna live through that attack. Now, with the Quake Fruit and the Azure Dragon Fruit being used, there's still surprisingly many more broken and insane Devil Fruits to hand out, and some, like this next one, are really dynamic as well. So who is the next character with truly demonic powers capable of handling a devilish fruit? I think that Itadori Yuji, the Black Flash Master, needs the ability to punch even harder than he already does. So I I choose something like Jesus Burgess strong fruit, right? Well, that would make some sense, I guess, as it would give him an even more broken Black Flash, but I do think the better thing here is to actually give him stronger fists, a stronger barrier, and, well, exactly what many people thought that his domain expansion was going to be, a boxing ring with absolutely no escape. And to pull all of that off, Itadori's perfect devil fruit, I think, is none other than Bartolomeo's barrier fruits. Think about it. With an unbreakable pair of bubble gloves, Yuji can now throw out haymakers and straights unlike anyone else. And while these barrier-infused boxing gloves are really strong, they're just the tip of the iceberg here. He would also have reinforced domain expansion, as the entire technique revolves around creating and infusing your cursed energy into a barrier technique, so who needs new Shadow style when you have Bardo style right here? Though of course none of this is close to the true terror of this devil fruit, because most importantly, this devil fruit would lock his opponents inside a bubble with Yuji. That's the important part, because it traps them within arm's reach of this kid, and if you know anything about Jujutsu Kaisen, that is the objectively worst place to be. Somewhere where he can throw hands, tossing out black flashes left and right until you're down for the count pretty quickly. Or alternatively, he could also trap people inside a barrier with his sensei, Satoru Gojo. Wait, that is not Gojo. It's Kakashi. They look so similar, sometimes I just get them mixed up. Well, since you're here, let's talk about your perfect devil fruit, Kakashi. Is it the dice fruit? After all, who needs kunai when your arms, legs, and just about anything else can literally become one? But no, once again, I think this fruit has a way better user later on in this video, so instead I think that Kakashi's perfect fruit would be one that allows him to use all of the 1000 jutsu that he's copied with his Sharingan all at once. And to do that, he needs to use way more hand signs, which in turn means that he needs some extra hands. You all know where this is going now, right? I'm gonna give him Nico Robin's flower fruit, which for all of you non-One Piece fans out there is not actually a devil fruit that gives people control over flowers, as the name suggests. It actually gives them the ability to sprout copies of their limbs, like arms and legs, all over the battlefield and even on top of themselves or other people. And before someone says anything, yes, of course, characters that have touch-based powers like Mahito from JJK, Shigaraki from My Hero, or even Yoshikage Kira from JoJo's would of course also massively benefit from this very power. But then again, where's the fun if you just have a universal delete button like that? I mean, that's just that's just Thanos there basically in a nutshell. So let's instead focus on the more thought-provoking powers that the 6th Hokage would get when he creates hands everywhere. As I mentioned, he can even grow extra ones from his own body, and each pair of hands could unleash any one of his many jutsu. Mud walls, water dragons, and Chidoris as far as the eye can see. An infinite wave of lightning blade arms, for example, or most importantly, landing his secret ninja art 1000 years of death for everyone and anyone on the battlefield, because nobody is safe when you give him a ton of hands. Of course, if you really wanted to, he could also use this move to create a giant naked version of himself that fights alongside him, which would probably make any Naruto lady swoon, since he is a notorious lady killer. Am I right, Rin? Sorry, did I shock you a little bit with my god-awful humor? Because sometimes an idea just sparks and I just have to deliver an electric joke. Like, what is the problem with that, right? It's Pikachu, guys. I'm gonna talk about Pikachu next.
Who's that Pokemon?
It's Pikachu!
It's Clefairy!
Pikachu, the electric mouse Pokemon, clearly needs something like Enel's Rumble Fruit, right? Electricity. Wrong. Pikachu is already an electric type Pokemon, right? The only thing that fruit would give him is Logia powers on top of anything, which, I mean, for a Pokemon universe would be broken, but instead I wanted to give Pikachu the Chopper treatment because he's gonna get himself a human fruit. But no, not just any old human fruit, he's getting a mythical model, Sengoku's Golden Buddha fruit. Allow me to introduce you to Chuda. Now, this massive Buddha form gives Pikachu access to human speech, a smarter brain, and of course, a massive golden body capable of unleashing devastating shockwaves to crush his opponents. Because let's be real, the same move that Sengoku used against Blackbeard would absolutely help Pikachu take down those pesky ground-type Pokemon as well. Now, interestingly enough, I think that this form is also quite similar to Gigantamax Pikachu, another massive and chubby form, but the greatest benefit here is that using his smarter brain, Pikachu would realize the true power of science. And after reading some electro-engineering textbooks, he would realize that gold is an excellent conductor of electricity. It's actually in all your devices like your phones and your PCs, and he just use it to buff just about every possible move he has. I mean, just imagining a giant golden Pikachu charging its opponent down with a Volt Tackle really sends shivers down my spine. Ugh. Would you be surprised if I told you that Pikachu wasn't the only small red on this list either? The other one I'm talking about is actually this blonde-haired young man, Kurapika from Hunter x Hunter, and he's actually one of the elite 12 hunters known as the Zodiac, and he holds the title of Rat. Let's face it, the reason we all actually know him is because of his incredibly versatile chains. Kurapika is one of only a handful of specialist hunters, which means that he'll need a devil fruit that blends incredibly well with his multiple abilities. Which is why, in my opinion, the only fruit that he should have is Law's Ope Ope no Mi, one of the most broken devil fruits in One Piece in general. Inside Kurapika's newly formed rooms, he'll now be able to hunt down members of the Phantom Troop with ease, dicing up human bodies, teleportation, switching people's personality, and much more. And if he manages to awaken it, he'll even be able to infuse his chains with the powerful K-Room, allowing his physical chains to pierce right inside of his enemy's body. Very similar actually to his spiritual judgment chain as well. Now, of course, in order to do this, he will actually need to activate his his Scarlet Eyes, and by using Emperor Time, a form that drains his lifespan away every time he uses it. Which, you can imagine, is actually a major issue when all of your truly world-breaking abilities rely on that one power, but that's also where the true broken power of this devil fruit comes into play as well. Because using a weird loophole with the immortality surgery, the strongest power of the Ope Ope no Mi fruit, Kurapika will actually be able to gain infinite life. Now, technically the way this works is that the fruit should kill the user in exchange for giving someone else life, but with his criminal empire connections and the One Piece world's crazy cloning experiments, he could just create a body double, switch souls with it, and then have his original body grant the new one immortality. And doing so would remove all fear and restrictions from Emperor Time, making it safe to use all the time, and thus drastically boosting Kurapika's strength, speed, and edgy persona 24/7 if he wants to. But next up, we have the son of an ogre and the young man who already uses the power of a demon, Baki Hanma. Now, normally when Baki comes up in these videos, we usually talk about his dear old dad, but this time it's all you, Baki. So, what can I do for you? The Twinkle Twinkle fruit that turns your body into diamond? That would work pretty well with your martial arts. Or what about the light fruit, Admiral Kizaru's Logia fruit that turns your body literally into light? A Logia power would really boost your speed and also durability in any of the fights you're in. And while those are truly good options, I think something just doesn't quite seem right with them. I mean, Baki is such a smart fighter with a unique demon brain that allows him to master any martial art and even develop mind and body breaking moves like the Cockroach Dash or Kyoryuken, his dinosaur fighting style as well. So, that's it. The perfect choice for Baki is actually the Brain fruit. Because with this literal big brain power, he'll have infinite potential when it comes to martial arts. All thanks to his already disgusting demon brain. I mean, everyone always focuses on his demon's back, but as we learned before his battle with his father, the Hanma clan actually has two special abilities. One, the demon back, an enlightened form where most of their heightened strength comes from, and the demon brain, allowing them to become the world's greatest threats together. So basically, Baki here just needed a little bit of a brain blast to unlock his true powers. With this devil fruit, he'll be able to develop insane new fighting styles based on every animal, have even faster reflexes, and master any weapon he needs. In a nutshell, he'll become the ultimate pirate warrior. Alright, but now I think we need to talk a little bit more about a normal kid and not a bloodthirsty, revenge-driven child. I mean, Baki and Kurapika are cool, but they're a little bit of a freak as well, both of them. I just need a bit of a mental reset here, a palate cleanser. Can I just have a normal high schooler with regular hobbies next, please? Oh, perfect. Okay. Next up is Hinata Shoyo and the entire Karasuno men's high school volleyball team together. Wait, that can't be right. Do they all get fruits? Oh no, okay. I misread. Okay. Hinata is getting a devil fruit to become the entire team. Now let me explain. Initially, I thought that he would get something like San Juan Wolf's giant fruit, turning him into a real giant, not just the little giant. But no, it turns out that the Pal Pal fruit used by one of Big Mom's children is even better. So fly high, my little crows, and become the gods of volleyball instead. Now, if you don't remember, this fruit allows the user to combine with other people around them, growing in size for each person that they fuse with. I'll admit that's a pretty niche and weird devil fruit, but it would allow the Karasuno players to turn into one big mega volleyball star. So long as they put the ball over in one hit, they pretty much can't be beat. And something tells me that won't be that hard when your hand blocks the entire length of the net. But as you can see, there's only a couple of spots left that we haven't talked about, and I have truly saved the craziest, strongest, and most unique picks for the ends. The powers to burn every demon, split souls in half, and of course, the Nika fruit Sun God powers as well. But before we get to One Piece's goofy Sun God powers, I want to first talk about the incredibly serious sun breathing master, Tanjiro Kamado. This demon slayer has the most physically demanding breathing form, one that constantly puts him on death's door. And so while the Hino Kami Kagura is pretty good, he still needs another power that will let him use it until the sun rises with no issue whatsoever. And that's why I think that Marco's mythical Phoenix fruit is by far the perfect devil fruit for Tanjiro. And I like to think that would be cool that his flames would turn red instead of blue, the way that they match the Hino Kami Kagura as well. But of course, you don't care about fire color, you care about the special powers it has. So the real benefit of this devil fruit is its healing ability. You see, Tanjiro's unique fighting style of nearly dying every time he swings his sword would be completely taken care of with this. Just being constantly passively healed, which just allows him to unleash the maximum potential of his sword forms all the time without any drawback. In a nutshell, he becomes the ultimate demon slayer with this power. And while on top of that, he can also fly, shoot fireballs, and gain access to actual flame powers, not just the pretty visual stuff from Demon Slayer. That is actually way more useful than the healing powers now that I think about it, unless he had this power during the Mugen Train arc, because maybe then he could have actually saved his big brother Rengoku. Don't worry, Tanjiro, One Piece is used to flame boys with donut-sized holes in their chest as well, so I guess you fit right in there as well. Now the real question, of course, is why would I not just give Tanjiro the Dice fruit? He seems like the perfect person to have more blades, right? More blades means more power, no? Well, sure, but then again, why settle for a regular swordsman when you can also give this insane devil fruit to a psychopath whose sword cuts souls and people? And when I put it that way, it should become pretty clear that Grimjoe from Bleach is the absolute perfect match for that specific fruit. Because with this devil fruit, he'll just gain access to way more ways to use his own Zanpakuto. It also will combine incredibly well with his special resurrection Pantero, a form resembling a panther that normally gains blade claws as well. But instead, now he'll just be able to turn any part of his body into a weapon of pure mass destruction. This will also allow him to fire off his panther claws, a unique projectile bomb from just about any blade point on his body that he wants. That's not all though, as his ultimate move also gains this power up as well. He'll have increased range and speed for his final attack, Laceration. With that, he'll be able to shoot these soil-splitting slashes out of his entire body, creating an area of effect that cuts anything that enters it. And I truly can't believe that you aren't the strongest and most broken character on this list, even with a power-up like that. And What's worse, he's not even the strongest blue-haired character either, because that title belongs to our next entry, the Vocaloid idol that rules the internet, Hatsune Miku. Never underestimate the lengths that I'll go to in order to find an absolutely weird and godlike addition to any of these videos. Now, Hatsune Miku, the singer, of course needs the Song Fruit, duh, used by Shanks' daughter Uta in film Red. And while this devil fruit is a non-canon power, or at least probably non-canon power, I just had to make an exception for this list because, I mean, this is just a match made in heaven. Miku would have the power to control anyone who hears her songs, which according to Spotify is 2 million monthly listeners. She also becomes the god of her singing universe, letting her control everything through the unbeatable power of music. Miku beams, she's got them. Creating time loops, she can do that. Multiple copies of herself that sing in perfect harmony, that too. Although, checking my notes, it turns out she apparently has all of those powers already canonically. I mean, here I thought they were just music video gags. Okay, I mean, come on, it's still the perfect devil fruit for her, even if she's technically already a god, I guess. But speaking of gods with god fruits, it's now time to talk about the Nika fruit, Luffy's devil fruit. The sun god form that everyone has been waiting to hear about. Who will get this incredible power? Bam from Tower of God, Yato from Noragami, Jin Woo from God of High School. I mean, they're all pretty godly fighters. And yeah, no, they're all cool, don't get me wrong, but they wouldn't truly benefit from this power-up, right? I mean, instead, the real god-level threat eating this devil fruit is this interdimensional plant sharpshooter, the humanoid typhoon himself, Vash the Stampede from Trigun. Listen, he is the perfect match for this devil fruit, and it's not even a question. Not only is he a super kind soul who gets himself into a bunch of really goofy situations, but he is also already incredibly powerful. He's got a real eagle eye and can shoot just about any target in his sight, blasting them with normal guns or the far more terrifying Angel Arm, a divine weapon that shoots literal nuclear blasts from his arm. Really, the only problem here are the physical limitations of his body. He can shoot things if they're in his line of sight and if his gun has a clear path to the target, but he can't, say, curve bullets. Not yet, that is. You see, all of that isn't a problem if his arms, head, or even the world itself starts stretching instead, bounces, and bends completely to his will. Suddenly, Vash can wrap his arm around any corner, over any wall, or behind any target to always hit his mark. Also, he can't be shot himself since his body now just repels bullets. That's very convenient for a man constantly being in gunfights. And of course, I'd be lying if I didn't talk about the insane powers of Giant Luffy as well, or in this case, Giant Vash. Because yeah, in Gear 5th, he can just grow to a massive size and fire off his supersized Angel Arm of Destruction from there. Remember, that's a nuclear blast that grows in size and will bounce off anything that he wants until it actually hits his targets. And with each bounce, he can just give it more and more speed until it's a close to light speed nuclear bomb that destroys islands, continents, and probably, let's be real, the fabric of space and time itself. And suddenly they realized why Vash is the perfect wielder of this devil fruit. And I think what really makes all of these character devil fruit combinations work is that they work really well with their ultimate moves, and if you're struggling to remember what some of the most broken ultimate attacks in anime are, the ones that can copy any ability, level an entire city block, or even destroy the universe itself, well, you should really check out my video on the strongest ultimate moves in anime right here, because you might recognize some familiar faces like Vash as well. Thanks so much for watching, and I will hopefully see you in that next video.